We are holding our hearts, we are in flight. And our shoes, they might as well be nails. And our minds play 1,000 pretty songs for us. And there's nothing up here that could be savage, no. There's no fear, no hatred, no killers, no guns. And besides, you're wearing red ruby lipstick. So I touch you and smile while you laugh. While these idiots all lose their power. And we dance as we cover our trail. Yeah, this world, it is burning, but don't it feel incredible? Whisper in my ear, tell me what you see in the flame. Yeah, in the flames. There's a freak loading out of my driveway. He's a stranger with a kind hippie face. There's a muscle ghost and it's riddled with torment. Can you roll, babe? Here's some papers and grass. And besides, we got this whole town to roam around in. And they've overdubbed our voices in French. Oui, to the Beverly Hills for margaritas. You look so pretty in the polo, but you're smashing it pink. Yeah, this world, it is burning, but don't it feel incredible? Whisper in my ear, tell me what you see in the flame. In the flame. Oh. Traveling over the midnight. We are holding our hearts, we are in flight. And our shoes, they might as well be nails. And our minds play 1,000 pretty songs for us. And there's nothing up here that could be savage, no. There's no fear, no hatred, no killers, no guns. No fear, no guns. No fear, no guns.
Jonathan Wilson, welcome to The Right
Hi.
Note.
Hey, how's it going?
You grew up in North Carolina, but you've become almost a custodian of a particular Los Angeles sound. Is there anything different musically between those two areas, or is it, and can you hear it in your music, or is it only those from the outside who think we can hear things?
I think you can definitely hear a bit of both things, you know, and definitely I'm a big fan of, you know, of the sound of California in the 70s. It was a big influence on me, you know, Warren Zevon, Jackson Brown, Glenn Frey, you know, those I was a big fan by default, you know, like from a dad who was a huge fan of those bands. So I was exposed to that, and so I was drawn, I guess, you know, to that coast. But you know, and me being from sort of like a bluegrass background too, from where I'm from, like you know, from really I was born down the street from people like Earl Scruggs and Doc Watson and stuff like that. So that's, I think you can hear a bit of that, you know, like particularly in some of like the earlier stuff. So, but that being said, I moved to California when I was 19. So I've sort of like developed my career with that, you know, that aesthetic, you know, that, you know, that's my home now. So.
Did you play bluegrass as a kid?
Somewhat, yeah. Like my dad, he's got a band with some guys that they've been a band since they were kids, and some of those guys, like when they, I mean, they're like their skills on the banjos and like the guitars and mandolins and stuff are just extraordinary, you know. And so, like my grandmother's brother was in Bill Monroe's band and stuff like that. So there's a bit of that kind of, you know, and that has something to do with you know, that like that is like a bit of like my whole thing, you know, is involved with that kind of just that, to be honest, like I've been enthralled with that sort of rhythmic precision and stuff like that. So that, you know, that's my probably my greatest musical gift is my time, you know. So
that's proper bluegrass royalty there.
Yeah.
Bill Monroe's band.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's interesting about what you've done is, you know, as I said, that you're associated with keeping alive a particular sound. But the new record, Revered, there's a very English 80s sound to me. I'm hearing, you know, bands like Talk, Prefab Sprout, and on a song like
big fan of that
Miriam
stuff.
Montague and Andy Partridge even.
Yeah, that and that one maybe goes into some Kinksian sort of territory and stuff, and that's on purpose as sort of a nod of, you know, like to the Beatles and stuff that I love, and you know, stuff when I was a kid that I dug so much, and rather than trying to like pretend it didn't happen, like me, I embrace it, you know.
As a producer, are there people whose work you admire, and well, not even just their work, but also their approach, their attitude that you like?
Yeah, like for certain, like even someone like a Shel Talmy or something like that, who just cut some of the best like sounding things. Or I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jack Nietzsche, you know, who's just those, and I'm a Spector fan. I'm a big Spector fan. Just like, but just the idea that you know, that sort of like the proof is in like, well, like the tone and the sound. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the legend or the, you know, or like the personality and like and all that, you know. I'm friends with a guy who played on Death. I'm friends with a few people who played on Death of a Ladies Man, you know, like the Spector Cohen collab. And I said to my friend who was playing on the session, I was like, "How did you know that Phil? That, I mean, could you tell that it was something great during the session?" And he said, "Yeah, the only thing you had to do was just put on the headphones, and then you just knew sort of what the genius was." You know, so.
Because those two producers, Jack Nietzsche and Spector, are very hands-on producers, not just in terms of production, but arrangement and writing. Do you?
I do that too. Yeah, for sure.
There's another aspect of your work, which is the way that you quite happy to pull in some interesting people. I mean, your first record, you borrowed Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes, Gary Lewis from the Jayhawks, and the second album, which I happen to have here, you had David Crosby and Graham Nash, a couple of Heartbreakers, and Josh Tillman was on there, and Josh is back again on this new record.
Yeah.
Are you just the most persuasive man in the music industry? You can get them on there?
No, I think it's just a matter of, and one thing I will say, by the way, like those people are not on there just to be on there, to be like a guest fest, because, like, to be honest, would I rather be talking about them right now, or would I rather be talking about my own songs? You know what I mean? And but I'm down to talk about it because their contributions are so good, and they were specifically chosen to do certain tasks. And for instance, like when I sing with Crosby and Nash, it was like that song was just perfect for them. And so yeah, I mean, it definitely did take a bit of persuasive texting and stuff to make it all sort of happen and seem like it was the thing to do, for them.
When you bring in people like that, I mean, are you looking for musicians to embody an idea that you've already got, or are you looking for them to bring what they have to expand an idea you haven't yet developed?
Yeah, some of both. I mean, for instance, when I brought in Mike Campbell, you know what I mean? That was specifically for what he brings, a little like to the slide work and stuff, which I've been such a fan of for so long. How he plays the slide is like, wow, you know what I mean? It's like the most expressive, and like in him being from the South like me, and there's a whole internal dialogue that's going on that has nothing to do with he's some famous guy or he's in some huge band. It's just simply has to do with how he plays and what he sounds like. And and the same with Ben Mott and stuff like that, who's one of my best friends and just one of the most extraordinary, complete musicians, like that I know, you know what I mean? So that's what that's the point,
And do you give them scope though to take it further? Now you've got an idea of what it sounds, but do you want them to take it to an area you haven't yet thought?
Yeah, for sure. That would be great. That would be fantastic. And like when you have guys like that, that can happen. Yeah.
Some of the people you've worked with have a particular approach to the world.
Right.
In the most recent Josh Tillman album, Father John Misty album, has quite a strong misanthropic streak.
Right.
The gentleman you're playing with at the moment on tour, Roger Waters, has been known to have a few down, not particularly down with humanity all the time.
Right.
But Rare Birds has got, I think, overall a positive sense, a belief in humanity.
Yeah, sure.
And romance. And are you someone who sort of falls between those two positions?
Yeah, I definitely do fall between them. Probably on a daily basis. For me, I want to use the vehicle of the song, maybe to bring about some positivity, and that being the perfect sort of vessel for someone to close their eyes and lay back, or be in some experience on Earth, and that song is their soundtrack, and maybe it can, that was one thing I was talking about, something similar like to this with Graham Nash, for example, who I think feels kind of like the same way, but where that song being the sort of the perfect place to plant sort of a seed of positivity and stuff. So I have songs on this album that specifically, the whole song is super positive from the first thing I say to the last thing, and that's on purpose, sort of trying to combat some of this, foolishness, so.
Maybe a final question. Your sound, your production sound, particularly on your albums, is rich and detailed and full.
Right.
How comfortable are you adjusting to a much simpler sound when you're performing live?
Well, the sound that, I mean, yeah, it's tough. You know, I mean, it basically comes down to you have to put all your eggs in the right basket this time around to be able to bring that sound on a stage. You know, it would take a bigger band than I currently have, but that's my goal. You know, is basically to be able to work that up. But that being said, we've done some clever stuff, like to be able to bring, you know, like a fullness, and each person in the band, it's a 5-piece band at the moment with a string section on the side, and that brings sort of like the picture, but it's really tricky figuring out which part is like the priority, because there's so many things going on, you know what I mean? So in some cases, particularly the keyboard player has his hands like doing 5 things at once and stuff, and we're playing things with our feet, and we're doing, you know, you pick up a stick and trigger a sample, and you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, which I've not really done that in the past with, you know, whereas this will be the first time that like the live show is definitely like stepped up, you know, and that goes for the projections and stuff too, and you know, so.
And then maybe in 5 years you'll do the 30-piece orchestra and the
that'd be cool.
20-piece band, the choir.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait for that.
Yeah.
Jonathan Wilson, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks again.